Mark reads his own gospel while he pets the winged lion that represents his spirit. Note atop the reading desk behind him the statue of blindfolded Judaism and the bookshelf on the wall of the fantastic cathedral. The gospel text is followed first by an abbreviated Ave Maria, and we might take a moment here to note how beautiful the calligraphy is, in lines of gold alternating with lines in blue or black. Look at that first line, Ave Maria, gratia plena, Hail Mary, full of grace. The pigment, dense with metal, wasn't fully absorbed by the vellum and stands out in raised, gleaming letters. Now look at the second line, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus. The Lord is with you, blessed art thou among women. In the first word, Dominus, you can see how letters are run together. The right-hand side of the D is also the left-hand side of the O. The next letters, M, I, N, U, are verticals which can only be distinguished for the letters they are if you have some idea of what the word is supposed to be. Along with elision and ambiguities of the sort just mentioned, there are eccentric spellings and outright errors. In the last line of the page, the phrase, Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus, has Jesus twice. The name Jesus is spelled I, then a Greek eta, which looks like an H, then S-U-S. Here the Greek eta has an E growing out of its right-hand side, since it wasn't universally understood that the eta already supplied the E sound. Then comes a mid-word long S, which looks rather like an F. Then comes the U and the final S of the kind familiar to us. The point of this excursus is to give the viewer some idea of the difficulties in reading a medieval manuscript. But as you become familiar with the ways and vagaries of scribes, it becomes an extraordinarily rich experience. The scribe's hand can impart to the letters very personal emphases, and it's almost as if you could hear a voice from 1,000 years ago. The next page has a Salve Regina and another Ave Maria. We may take a moment to read the Salve Regina, well known and beloved of all Catholics, but generally unknown outside the Church. Salve Regina, Mater Misericordiae, vita, dulcedo et spes nostra, salve. Ad te clamamus, exules filii Hevae, ad te suspiramus, gementes et flentes in hac lacrimarum vale. Ea ergo, advocata nostra, illos tuos misericordes aculos ad nos converte, et Iesum benedictum fructum ventris tui nobis post hoc exilium ostende, O clemens, O pia, O dulcis Virgo Maria. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, turn thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus, O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary. Pagans build the Tower of Babel contrary to God's command. God strikes it with a thunderbolt and reduces their work to nothing. The artist has given the falling architects confident expressions, which, though visually discordant, is psychologically sound. It takes people a surprisingly long time to realize that the consequences of their actions will really catch up with them. Understanding rarely precedes impact. The Rohan, which excels in fanciful architecture, has given us a most imposing tower and a satisfyingly frightful fall of the artisans. The pagans who undertook to build the Tower of Babel against God's commandment represent the astrologers, and here we are at a loss. The unintelligible word diélérétiens has been written. In the Bible Explained, the word Jews has been written in above this word as a gloss. In the Rohan, the word Arians replaces the unintelligible term. Arianism was an early church heresy which maintained that the Son was distinct from and subordinate to the Father. Translating the word as Arians was an act of desperation. Whoever was intended, the text goes on to say that these persons oppose Christ with their false proofs and devious reasonings. God brings their efforts to naught, blinds them in their errors, and finally strikes them down. In the illustration, an astrologer holds a blue celestial sphere, while a heretic holds a book. Lightning and meteors rain down on them from the sky. The Rohan adds the nice touch of having the misbelievers' hats pulled down over their eyes to indicate how their ideas have blinded them to truth. Pagans throw Abraham and another man into a fire. God saves Abraham because of his faith, but the other man remains in the flames. Here we are shown the pagans dragging Abraham into the fire with ropes. Abraham is saved from the flames, evidently by his belief in Jesus Christ, while the pagans wear Jewish hats. Clearly, the illustrator's sense of typology has got the better of him. The Rohan replaces the ropes with sticks, which the Jewish pagans used to prod him into the blaze. But at least Abraham here believes in God the Father, rather than an anachronistic Jesus. Abraham being put in the fire signifies those who are exposed to the fires of this world, the temptations of lust and greed and so forth. Those who have firm faith in God, Jesus Christ rescues. Those who remain in the flames signify those who stay in mortal sin and end up burning in the fires of hell. Here the illustrator wasn't very interested in greed, or in hellfire for that matter. Both couples are lustful. The woman at center is particularly wicked. She finds time to sin through vanity with a hand mirror, even as her friend squeezes her breast. Following the text rather than the illustration in the Bible Explained, the Rohan includes the greedy along with the lustful. Here we see St. Luke with the ox that is his emblematic animal, holding a banner in its mouth on which is written Luke. The saint holds his gospel and looks up to where God is offering complicated but evidently benevolent hand signals. God said to Abraham, "Abandon your lands and your possessions, leave your country and come to me." Abraham did so, and God received him into the country destined for him. We see God in the form of Jesus at Abraham's door, telling him to go, and Abraham and his family exiting the house through another door. In the Rohan, we have the same scene, but on the left we cannot see Abraham's face, only part of his robe, for he is turned away from us, and the doorway occludes even the back of his head. Abraham's abandonment of his property and all his possessions signifies how good Christians leave mother and father and whatever they have to devote themselves to God. They spurn the world and think it worthless. We have at left an edifying deathbed scene. The deceased has a peaceful expression, indicating she has made a good end. Standing at left, a woman tears her hair in grief, while two men clasp their hands in prayer, evidently understanding that the deceased has gone to a better world than this. To the right, we see a monk and several pilgrims, indicated as such by their wide sun-shielding travelers' hats and walking sticks. They are the moral that all of life is a brief and difficult pilgrimage, and nothing in it is worth tarrying over. The Rohan shows essentially the same death scene, but the pilgrims seem to have baffled the illustrator, who has given them all Jewish hats and long golden scepters. They march confidently off, as if their work here were done. Evidently, the Jews are to be blamed for anything and everything.